I asked my boyfriend for a break and I slept with others. Now that he is with his new girlfriend, I want to get him back. I'm 27 years old and my ex-boyfriend, let us call him Daniel, is 28. We were together for almost 5 years and the truth is that it was a relationship with ups and downs like any other, but in most of those years I felt that I was happy with him. I met him when I was still in college. He was already working and from the first moment I was impressed by his way of being. He was attentive, affectionate, and always had nice gestures with me. The first couple of years were practically perfect. We went out everywhere, we made plans, we traveled as much as we could with the money we had, and we shared a lot of time together. But as often happens, things changed. He began to have anxiety and stress problems because of work. I tried to support him, but over time I began to feel that our relationship became routine, dull, and to a certain extent suffocating. I do not want to sound cruel, but there were moments when I felt that he was not the same as before. He spent a lot of time withdrawn into himself, speaking little to me and dedicating almost the entire day to his job. When I tried to cheer him up or propose plans, it seemed that he was always tired or unmotivated. I even told him several times that perhaps we needed a change, but he insisted that the only thing he needed was time to sort out his work life and feel whole again. The truth is that I felt frustrated. I saw my friends who had more attentive partners, who did new things every week, and I only saw Daniel getting more and more dull. At that moment, I thought that it was normal to want something more, because I had the feeling that my life was stopping along with him. In one of our many arguments, about a year ago, I asked him that we take a break. I did not want to say that we were breaking up, but I did tell him that I needed space, that I was not feeling well, and that I could not continue with the relationship under those conditions. Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then he told me that he loved me and that he did not understand why I wanted that, but that if it was what I needed, he was going to respect it. During that time, I felt a mixture of liberation and guilt. On the one hand, it seemed to me that I could finally breathe and focus on myself. I went out more with my friends, I started doing activities that I had put aside, and I felt a kind of freedom. But on the other hand, the idea that I was abandoning someone who was clearly going through a bad time was spinning in my head. This is where I did what now haunts me. In that period, I met other people. At first, it was just going out to distract myself, but then I ended up sleeping with a couple of them. I justified it to myself by saying that we were on a break and that technically it was not cheating because we had not completely broken up. However, deep down I knew that Daniel was not with anyone, that he was surely still thinking of me and that if he found out it would destroy him. That time that was supposedly for reflection extended longer than it should have. 3 months passed without us formally resuming the relationship. Daniel wrote to me from time to time, but I was dry with him. Sometimes I answered him with monosyllables, other times I simply ignored him. I do not feel proud of that, but that is how it was until one day he stopped looking for me. Suddenly I noticed that there were no more messages, no calls, no attempts to see me. It was strange because I had gotten used to him always being after me, even when I treated him with indifference. And to be honest, at that moment I felt a kind of emptiness. Little by little I found out that he was changing his life. He started going to the gym. He started going out with friends I did not even know he had. He traveled a couple of times and, in general, he looked much happier and more fulfilled. He even opened a small business with a friend of his and apparently it is going quite well. I know because although we do not talk, I see him on social media. He never blocked me or anything, but he clearly no longer includes me in his life. The last time we ran into each other was a few months ago at a gathering of some mutual acquaintances. There I realized that he had changed a lot. He looked more confident, with a completely different attitude, and to top it all off, he was accompanied by a girl. I do not know if she is his official girlfriend, but the way they treated each other made it clear that there was something between them. Since then I cannot get the idea out of my head that I lost him, that I asked for a break, I played with it, I distracted myself with other people, and now that he is better and seems happy without me, I want to go back. And the worst part is that I do not know how to do it. I know that if I told him the truth about what I did while we were on that break, he would probably hate me. I also know that many people will say that I deserve it, that I brought it on myself, and maybe they're right, but I cannot stop thinking that with him I had something real, that no one else has made me feel the same, and that although I ruined it, I would like to have another chance. I do not know if what I feel is love, regret, selfishness, or simply the need to recover what I lost. But every day that passes I miss him more, and every time I see how he smiles in his photos, it hurts me not to be there. I know that many will say to let him go, that he is already in another stage and that he does not need me, but a part of me wants to try to talk to him, to tell him that I was wrong, that I was foolish, and to beg him to give me another chance. The problem is that I do not know if that is fair, neither for him nor for me. Update. Hello again. Months ago, I had written a post here telling my situation with Daniel, my ex, or I do not even know what to call him at this point, because we never officially broke up. After that vent that I shared, I honestly felt ashamed of what I had written. I felt bad thinking that so many unknown people could be reading my mistakes, my contradictions, and my way of justifying myself. That is why I decided to leave the topic, not to enter again, and simply continue with my life. And I did that at least for a while. During these last 5 months, I tried to focus on myself. I started working more. I went out from time to time with my friends and even tried to meet other people. I am not going to lie to you, I never got to feel anything real for anyone else. Everything seemed superficial, like temporary distractions, and I knew it myself. Daniel still appeared in my head from time to time, but I tried to block those thoughts because I felt that it was useless to torment myself with someone who had clearly decided to move on without me. I came to convince myself that the best thing was to accept what had happened, that he had changed, that I should do it too. There were days when I even believed that I was succeeding, that I was getting my life back. But then, a few days ago, everything fell apart. It was a random afternoon. I was in my bed checking social media, scrolling without paying much attention, when suddenly I saw a photo that completely froze me. It was on the profile of a girl I had seen before, the same one I saw Daniel with months ago at that gathering. In the photo, she appeared smiling, showing her hand with a sparkling ring on her ring finger. And what finished destroying me was that Daniel was next to her, hugging her with a huge smile on his face. The caption said something like, "I said yes, next to the most incredible man I know." I do not know how to describe what I felt. It was like a direct blow to the stomach. In that instant, it was even hard for me to breathe. I could not believe what I was seeing. I read and reread the publication, as if there were some possibility that I was mistaken, as if it were suddenly a misunderstanding or a joke. But it was not, it was real. Daniel, the man who was with me for almost 5 years, the one who told me that I was the love of his life, was getting engaged to another person. I was invaded by a mixture of emotions, disbelief, anger, sadness, and a kind of rage that I had not felt before. I keep repeating to myself, how is it possible that he is about to marry someone else if we never officially broke up? I asked him for a break, yes, but we never said that the relationship was over. Technically, we are still a couple on a break, or at least that is how I had understood it deep down. And now seeing him in that situation made me feel as if he had erased everything we shared, as if our years together had never existed. I cannot stop thinking that that girl got in the middle of something that had not yet concluded, that she took advantage of the moment when he was vulnerable to stay with him. I know that many here will probably say that I am being irrational, that I pushed him away myself, that I had the opportunity to stay, and I did not. And yes, it may be true, but that does not change the fact that I feel betrayed, because although I made a mistake, although I treated him coldly, I never thought that things would come to this. Since I saw that publication, I cannot sleep well. I spend my time checking his social media over and over again, looking at the photos, trying to understand at what moment he slipped through my hands. I see how all his friends congratulate them, how they receive messages of support, and it makes my blood boil, because I know him better than anyone. I know who he really is. And now it hurts me to see how he smiles with her as if I had never existed in his life. What torments me the most is that I feel that I still have time to do something. I know that many will think that I have already lost him, that I should let him be happy, but inside me I cannot accept that idea. I refuse to believe that after almost 5 years together, of so many shared moments, he can replace me so easily. That girl does not know what we went through. She does not know what Daniel really means. She does not know what it is to love him in his worst moments. She is getting to know him now in his best stage, but I was there when he felt broken, when no one else understood him. I gave him a break because I needed space, yes, but it was never my intention for this to become a definitive end. And now that I see him in that situation, with a ring on another's hand, I feel that I have to get him back. I know it will sound possessive, but I do not care. I am not going to sit idly by while he marries someone who appeared out of nowhere. That girl is nothing compared to me. She does not know what I mean in his life. And if now he is deluded into believing that she is the right one, I am sure that I can open his eyes. I repeat to myself over and over again. I am going to get him back. No matter how much it costs me, no matter what I have to do. I am not going to let that slut, because I cannot find another word to describe her get away with what is mine. And yes, I know it sounds harsh, but I do not care. The rage of seeing how someone else is enjoying what I built by his side for so many years burns inside me. I have thought about writing directly to Daniel, about asking him to talk, about confessing what I feel once and for all, but I am afraid that he will reject me, that he will tell me that it is already too late. At the same time, I think that if I do not do anything, then I will regret it all my life for having let him get away without a fight. I have also considered approaching her. I do not know if it would be a good idea, but my blood boils so much that I feel like making it clear to her that what she is experiencing is not real, that she is just occupying a place that does not belong to her. I do not know if that is right. I do not know if anyone here can understand me, but the only thing I feel now is that I cannot just watch him slip away. I feel trapped between reason and impulse. Reason tells me to accept what happened, that he no longer loves me and that I should move on. But impulse screams at me to fight for him, to look for him, not to allow everything we shared to be erased so easily. And here I am writing this with my heart in my throat, knowing that many are going to judge me. I know that what I am saying may sound selfish, possessive, or even desperate, but I cannot control what I feel. I do not want to sound like an obsessive madwoman, but how can I remain calm seeing that the man with whom I plan my life is about to marry another when we technically never broke up? I am convinced that I still have a chance. I know him too well not to know that deep down he still remembers me. That smile he shows in the photos, that confidence he feigns. I know that it can also be a facade. And I want to be the one to be by his side again, not her. So I have already decided I am going to get him back. I am going to fight for him, and I am going to get that girl off his back because I refuse to let her keep what belongs to me. I do not know how I will do it yet, but I will find a way. Update. I have come back to write because what happened in these last few days left me in shock. I am still processing what I experienced and I really need to vent because I feel like I am falling apart inside. After that publication in which I said that I was going to get him back, I started looking for ways to get close to Daniel again. I did not want to do it all at once without having information, so the first thing I did was talk to one of his close friends. I thought that maybe he could give me some clue, that he would tell me how Daniel really was or even that he would help me get close to him again. When I wrote to him, he seemed a little surprised. He was not rude, but he was distant, as if he did not want to get in the middle. I insisted. I told him that I just wanted to talk, that it was nothing bad, and little by little he began to tell me things. And what I heard left me frozen. According to him, Daniel always told him that I had broken up with him. Not that we had asked for a break, nor that we had given ourselves space, but that I had ended it definitively. It was hard for me to believe because I never used that word. I never said we broke up. I just asked him for time. Time to get myself together, to put my life in order. But it seems that he interpreted it in another way. I was shocked. I could not understand how it was possible that he had misinterpreted something so important. I felt as if my voice had been ripped out, as if everything I said had not been heard. I continued to get information from the friend. I asked him about his new girlfriend and he, after hesitating a bit, told me what I wanted to know, that she was a coworker of Daniel's, that they had coincided on several projects, and that little by little they started going out. He also told me that they have already traveled a lot together, that they have made plans, and that Daniel confessed to him that he feels that she is the love of his life. That phrase drilled into my head. The love of his life. How could he say that after everything we shared? How could he erase 5 years with a single stroke to replace me with someone who has only been on a couple of trips and in a relationship for a few months? It did not make sense, at least not to me. That same night, I made the decision to look for him in person. I had to see him with my own eyes, hear from his mouth what he really thought. I could not just take the word of a third party. And that is how I found him. I do not want to give too many details of how I managed it, but let us just say that we coincided in a public place where he usually goes after work. When I saw him, I felt my heart stop. He was so changed, so different, more confident, stronger, and at the same time so distant. I took a deep breath, tried to calm my nerves, and approached him as if nothing had happened. I forced a smile and said, "Hello, love. You know, I have not seen you for a long time, but I came to tell you that the time has passed and I want us to be together again." He looked at me with a mixture of surprise and contempt. There was not a hint of affection in his eyes, not the slightest sign of joy at seeing me. With a firm voice he answered me, "What are you saying? You and I have been nothing for almost a year. Why do you suddenly appear as if nothing had happened?" I was frozen. I tried to explain myself, to make him understand. "That is not true. I only asked you for a time to rearrange my life. I never told you that we had broken up." He sighed, looked at me intently, and said with all the security in the world, "I am getting married." I looked at him with rage, with helplessness, and I could not contain myself. I answered him in an aggressive tone, almost shouting, "That wedding belongs to me, not to that stupid red-headed slut. What do you like more about her? Her red hair dyed with cheap internet dye or her plastic breasts?" The people around us started to look at us, but at that moment I did not care. I was blinded by anger, by pain. Daniel looked at me with a coldness that I had never seen in him before, and with a voice full of contempt he told me, "Do you know what I like about her? That she is not a damn pain in the ass like you, that she does not cry about everything, that she does not complain about every little thing I do. When I worked more, you complained. When I worked less, you complained. There was always a but with you. I was sick of you, and thanks to you asking for that break, I was able to get rid of you. I should have done it sooner." His words pierced me like bullets. I tried to say something, but the words would not come out. He continued, "And do not think I did not know what you did during that time. I found out. I found out that you slept with half the town while I was trying to get by." At that moment, I felt the ground open up under me. My face was burning, my eyes filled with tears, and I could only stammer, "Why are you talking to me like that? Why do you hate me so much?" My voice was barely a murmur, but he did not answer me. He simply gave me one last look of indifference, turned around and left, leaving me alone, crying in the middle of the street, feeling that he had ripped away the last bit of dignity I had left. I do not know how long I stood there, crying, unable to move. Everyone was looking at me, and I just wanted to disappear. I never imagined that Daniel, the same one who once told me that I was his everything, would talk to me that way. I never thought he would despise me so much. Since that day, I cannot stop replaying the scene in my head. His words, his cold gaze, the way he left me there as if I meant nothing. It torments me to think that he really found out about what I did during that time, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. What hurts me the most is not just that he rejected me, but that he seems to hate me, and that idea destroys me. I know that I made mistakes, I know that I was not perfect, but I never thought we would end up like this. Now I am lost. I do not know what to do. I do not know how to put myself back together. I feel that he took everything that I was, that I have nothing left. And the worst part is that despite everything, I still love him. Update. I have come back to write, although it will probably be the last time I do it on this topic. What happened these days finished breaking me, and I feel that I do not have the strength to continue with this fight. After the encounter with Daniel, when he left me crying in the middle of the street, something inside me changed. I felt rage, humiliation, and a desperate need to make that redhead, the one who was going to marry him, see that she was with a man who already had a girlfriend. Because yes, although he says otherwise, I never officially broke up with him. So I did it. I contacted her. It was not easy to find her, but I finally found her on social media. I sent her a long message full of reproaches and warnings. I told her that the man she was about to marry had a girlfriend, that I had been with him for 5 years, and that our thing never formally ended. I assured her that she was just a cheap replacement, a distraction, and that deep down he was still mine. The response surprised me. It was not what I expected. Instead of defending herself or attacking me, she responded with a trembling tone, as if she were in shock. She told me, "What are you talking about? Daniel told me that he was single when I met him. He never talked to me about you. He never told me he had a girlfriend." She even confessed to me that she felt deceived, that she was crying while she was writing to me because she could not believe that he would have hidden something like that. I, at that moment, felt a strange mixture. Part of me was happy to see her suffer, but another part could not stop thinking that maybe she was also a victim of his lies. We talked for a bit longer, but I was so upset that I did not even know what to say to her. In the end, I left the topic there, believing that at least I had planted a doubt in her head and deep down, hoping that it would mean the beginning of the end of their relationship. But I was wrong. A few days later, I received a call. It was him. As soon as I heard his voice, I felt a lump in my throat. It was not the Daniel I knew. It was not the affectionate man from before. His voice sounded hard, dry, loaded with contained rage. "Why will you not leave me in peace?" he told me bluntly. I remained silent with my breath caught. I wanted to explain myself, but he did not let me. "Fortunately," he continued, "I have proof of your damn messages. Yes, I saved all the messages in which you yourself asked me for a break. And I also have testimonies from close people who know what happened and confirm my version. What did you want? That I not get married? To ruin my life because you do not know what to do with yours?" Every word hit me like a whip. I tried to interrupt him, to tell him that it was not like that he had misinterpreted everything, but he continued relentlessly. "Leave me in peace. Live your life. Get to work. Find something useful to do. You cannot keep revolving around me like a fucking aimless wreck. You are nothing to me anymore." There was no more painful insult than that. Aimless wreck. It sounded so cruel, so contemptuous, so definitive. I felt that with that one word he erased everything we ever shared. I could not take it anymore. I started to cry with sobs so strong that I could barely breathe. I begged him not to talk to me like that, to try to remember what we had, but he was silent for a few seconds and then hung up the call without saying anything else. I was left with the phone in my hand, trembling, crying like a child, feeling that the world was collapsing on top of me. Never in my life had I felt so rejected, so humiliated, so insignificant. That day I did not get out of bed. I cried until I had no tears left, reviewing over and over again everything I had done wrong. I thought about the 5 years we were together, about every memory, about every moment I believed in, and I realized that for him now all of that meant nothing. I do not deny that I have made mistakes. Yes, I asked for a break and I used it badly. Yes, I was wrong to believe that I could distract myself with other people without consequences. Yes, I was harsh, indifferent, and selfish, but I never imagined that the person I loved most in my life would end up talking to me with so much hatred. And as for her, the redhead apparently is still with him. He may have told her what happened between us. He may have shown her his evidence. I do not know. I only know that they are still together, that the wedding is still on, and that I was left completely out of everything. Now I am here, writing this, crying again, but with a different certainty. I know that I cannot keep looking for him. I know that I have nothing left but to accept that I lost him, because insisting more will only sink me further into this spiral of humiliation. I have decided to stop looking for him, not because I do not love him, because I still love him with every part of me, but because I understand that there is no longer a place for me in his life. It hurts me, it destroys me, but I cannot keep hitting myself against a wall that will no longer move. The most ironic thing is that after everything I still feel that in another universe he and I could have been happy. That if I had handled things differently, if I had not asked for that break, if I had been by his side instead of pushing him away, maybe now I would be the one wearing that ring on my hand. But it was not like that. And the reality is that now I am the ex who did not know how to let go, the one who held on too late, the one who ended up being rejected with harsh words that will never be erased from my memory. I do not know how to go on with my life. I do not know how to trust again, how to feel whole again. But it is clear to me that at least I cannot keep chasing someone who has already erased me from his heart. Maybe one day he will forgive me. Maybe one day I will manage to forgive myself. For now, the only thing I can do is accept that I lost. Update. Hello everyone. I do not know if anyone will read this after so much time, but I wanted to make one last update. I wrote this post in 2023, and today in 2025 I read it again. I am not going to lie to you, I felt a bit of shame. It was without a doubt one of my lowest moments. Now I see it and I think, how could I expose myself in that way for someone who clearly no longer wanted to be with me? But I suppose that at that moment I was hurt, confused, and did not know how to handle it. In these 2 years, many things happened. The first is that I am no longer the same person. I left behind that life of going around meeting people for one night and aimless relationships. It did not make me happy, it just made me more empty. Today I can say that I feel at peace with myself. I am not looking for a partner. In fact, I learned to enjoy my solitude, to focus on my work and on things that really fulfill me. It sounds cliché, but now I value my peace of mind much more than any relationship. From him I learned through acquaintances that he got married a while ago and that they're expecting a baby. And no, it does not hurt me, on the contrary, I am glad that he has made his life, that he is where he wants to be. I no longer hold a grudge against him. At the time I felt rage, frustration, and even obsession, but now I can admit that it was also my mistake not to let go in time, to cling to something that no longer existed. Today, I just feel that that story is behind me and that it left me a great lesson. Not to lose myself in someone else, not to beg for affection, and above all to learn to value myself. If I could talk to the version of me that wrote that post, I would tell her that she was going to get out of it and that life does not end because someone no longer chooses you. I am fine, I am happy, and I have my own projects that excite me. And although I am a little ashamed of what I wrote, then I leave it here because it is also part of my story and it reminds me of how much I have changed.